As they say, first impression is the last impression. Well, when it comes to movies, it's the opposite. People will forgive a weak opening, but they will never forgive a terrible ending. And I think this movie is the victim of that. 28 years later is the latest movie in the 28 movie franchise. We got 28 days, then we got 28 weeks. Don't know what happened to 28 months, but now we have 28 years, the third movie in the installment. It's a movie franchise where a virus broke out and everyone turned into zombie, and because of that, a good chunk of humanity has been wiped out and people live in quarantine. And in the same universe, now 28 years have passed, and this is the movie about that. Now, I was excited about this movie mostly because the original writer-director Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are back, because they went missing during the second movie and it was quite visible. I was not very happy how second movie turned out, but the first one is a classic. Now, the first movie, when it came out in 2002, it had a clear advantage because it was the movie that started all the zombie hype. But now the same becomes a problem for this movie because 2 decades have passed and we have tons of zombie media now. A lot of it is fantastic. So this movie had a challenge to prove itself. So does it? Well, yeah. Maybe not as amazingly as some people might have wanted, but it is still a pretty solid zombie movie. As the title suggests, 28 years have passed in this universe and we follow life of Spike, a 12-year-old boy who lives with his father and his sick mother in this isolated village. We see daily lives of these people, how they study, how they prepare weapons, how they support each other, and most importantly, how the life has regressed for them. It is a safe space, but a safe space that has turned into a jail. And the movie gets going when Spike's father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, he decides that the Spike is now man enough and he can get out of the village. So they both go on a journey in the mainland area where all the resources are and also where all the zombies are. On this father-son journey, we learn that zombies have actually evolved quite a lot in the past 28 years. There are fast zombies, there are slow zombies, there are zombies that have gotten really smarter, zombies that have become much stronger than what we see in the first 2 movies. And between all of this, Spike learns that there is a doctor in the mainland area who can help his sick mother. So that becomes Spike's goal that, hey, I'm gonna connect my mother with this doctor so she can be cured. Now remember I said the ending of this movie is bad? Well, it's not just the ending. The first 5 minutes and last 5 minutes, they both seem like they have been shoehorned at the end, in hopes of a sequel. And they stick out like sore thumb, which is a big mistake on the parts of producers because this is a pretty solid movie. And that also means that the second movie still has one of the best opening of the franchise. But ignoring those missteps, you can clearly see that it was made by a director who has a lot of experience, very clear style and intent. The strongest aspect of it being the videography and the editing of it. You got Dutch angles, you got crazy fast edits, you even got bullet times mode. Yeah, sometimes when zombies get shot in this movie, there's this weird bullet time effect. I thought it was interesting, but I'm not sure everyone will like it though. But the makeup, prosthetics, special effects, practical effects, everything was amazing. You can see that this movie had a $75 million budget and they utilized it properly, unlike those Disney movies that still look like trash after $300 million budgets. Jesus, I don't know how they do it. But this movie was very well put together. Music can also be a bit hit or miss for some people. I was having a good time, but it is a bit over the top, just like the first 2 movies. Nothing as iconic as the soundtrack from the first movie, but still really solid. And overall, whether you like something in this movie or not, you will see that this movie is definitely not generic or boring. In the movie, even though it's a direct sequel to the first 2 movies, it is very disconnected from them. This movie actually takes advantage of the fact that 28 years have passed, the world has progressed a lot, so it uses the same universe to tell a separate story of Spike the boy. And it's a very good way to break the formula of the first 2 movies, but still keeping us in the same universe. And movie also downplays the military element, which was very heavily present in the first 2 movies. I mean, there are some military people here, but they're there just to give you a context of how isolated people are in this village from the rest of the world. Which brings me to the themes of this movie, which I believe are much stronger than the story of this movie. The village in this movie constantly reminded me of a country that is stuck inside of a war for a long time, and how even though all of us live on the same planet, the life people live in these war-affected countries are completely different than people outside of it. And I would not be surprised if that was actually intentional. There's also this scene between Spike and a military boy. When they're talking and hanging out, you realize that, oh, this scene can easily be in any war movie. You know how a soldier hangs out with the local kids where the war is going on? It was very reminiscent of that. And best part is that instead of just being another zombie fest, this movie explores that what would it be like to have mental health issues or physical issues in a world like this? How do you raise a kid in such a horrid environment? The fact that you always have to be prepared to abandon your loved ones or lose them anytime, the importance of having a community, the importance of showing kindness to the people around you. There are many moments in this movie when Spike does something good and the adult next to him says something nice. It's like, hey, good job, Spike, good lad, and stuff like that. And in such a grim, dark world, these small words of encouragement meant a lot. There are moments when these adults help Spike go through really horrible situations with kindness and love. And I legit teared up during one of the sequences. It was that effective to me. And you know how in first two movies they focus on how men are the true monsters of this world? This movie focuses on the idea of death. Because when a lot of people die, they turn into a number. But behind that number is an individual who had a life, who had loved ones, who lost that person. And in a world where death is around every corner, learning the art of letting go becomes more crucial than ever. And these thematic explorations are what gives this movie its identity, rather than being just another zombie movie or cheap imitation of the first one, which second movie was. And when you combine that with fantastic performances by every single cast member, especially the kid carried the movie, man. I think between all three movies, this movie had the best child performances. The kid got a bright future ahead. But all of this doesn't mean that the movie is perfect. It has some very clear issues, and most of them are around Spike's character. Midway in the movie, after a very solid start, Spike's character does something incredibly stupid that I didn't buy at all, and it will piss off a lot of people. And when the second half starts, movie slows down quite a bit. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that slow burn and all the character development, but some people might take issue with it. And the doctor's character, I really liked it. He was a breath of fresh air. But I think his character came in too late. He should have given more screen time and utilized more in the story. And there's also another thing that Spike does towards the end of the movie, which doesn't make any sense and was not believable at all. And that immediately leads into the final 5 minutes of the movie where they're trying to set up the sequel, which is even worse. And that's why I keep saying that when the movie ends, people will have a sour taste in their mouth, even though the overall movie was pretty solid. And this movie also had some logical issues. Now, I'm personally quite easygoing when it comes to logic in this action horror type movies, but even for me, some was really hard to digest. There is a moment where these people could have easily killed a really scary zombie that's trying to kill them, but they just choose not to. Why? I don't know. Go ask Alex Garland. And also, there are no melee weapons. Like, entire time, they're just using bow and arrow, which is really cool, well shot, and I can understand its use in movie. But really, like, you're not gonna keep even a stick with you, like a really strong stick to, shoo away the zombie. Nothing. It's just like zombies right here, and they're still like bow and arrow. It didn't make any sense. There's another sequence where Spike is walking away from a zombie that is chasing him. So here's the situation, right? Zombie is running while chasing Spike, but Spike is walking, and zombie still cannot catch up to him. And I just couldn't understand, like, what is going on here? So there were a few logical issues in this movie which kind of broke my immersion, took me out of the movie, and I'm like, yo, that's not it. Like, that's not how that works. So overall, I think it is a really solid sequel, an amazing addition in the franchise, much better than the second movie. But will it live up to the hype of the first movie? I don't think so. But if you're willing to ignore some of its flaws, you can enjoy a zombie movie that has a very strong and clear personality of its own. A movie that has a lot of heart and emotions. And if you've already seen and enjoyed the first two movies, I definitely recommend go out and watch it in cinema. It's a very good experience. And those are my thoughts about 28 years later. Have you seen it? And how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching this video. It means a lot to me. I hope you had a good time. I will see you next time. Till then, goodbye, take care, and have some fun with fiction.